You've heard of Roswell, right? 1947, New Mexico. Something crashed. The official story, well, that's changed a few times over the years. But what if there was another story? A set of documents that claim to be the actual direct interview transcripts with the crash's sole survivor. And let me tell you, what this being supposedly had to say, it doesn't just change the story of Roswell, it changes the story of humanity itself.
And that quote right there, "What's true for you is true for you." That's from the editor of these very documents, Lawrence Spencer. And honestly, it is the perfect way to kick this off, because what we're about to get into is a story that lives right on the edge of what you think is possible. It's really up to you to decide what you believe.
Okay, so how in the world does a secret from 1947 just pop up in the 21st century? You'd think it would be some declassified file, right? Or maybe a government whistleblower. Nope. This story starts 60 years later with something way more mundane and way more mysterious. A simple cardboard box showing up in the mail with an absolutely impossible story inside.
I mean, just let that sink in for a second. The crash happens in 1947. It becomes this massive thing, a cornerstone of UFO lore, all while the government is denying everything. And then, crickets, for 60 years. Until 2007, when this package just shows up, mailed all the way from Ireland. Can you imagine? Someone held onto this secret for their entire life.
So what was actually in this box? Well, it was like a time capsule. You've got these personal, handwritten notes in cursive. You have pages that were clearly typed up on an old-school manual typewriter. And then, tucked inside all of that, was the bombshell. A stack of papers that looked like official, top-secret government transcripts, all dated 1947.
The letter inside explained everything. The sender identified herself. Her name was Matilda O'Donnell MacElroy. And her connection to Roswell, yeah, not a coincidence. She claimed she was a flight nurse in the U.S. Army Air Force, and that she was there when it all happened.
And this is where Matilda's story takes a huge turn. She wasn't just some random witness on the base. She claims she became the central figure in this whole event. Why? Because she said she was the only person who could communicate with the lone survivor of the crash. Her letter lays it all out. As a nurse, she was in a really unique position. She says she was ordered to go with an intelligence officer directly to the crash site. You know, her job was supposed to be providing medical help. But what she found there, well, let's just say it was way beyond anything they teach you in nursing school.
And these are her own words. She says she saw, quote, the wreckage of an alien spacecraft, as well as the remains of the several alien personnel aboard the craft who were already dead. So, yeah, definitely not a weather balloon, right? She's talking about a crashed ship and its crew. But as she quickly found out, one of them wasn't dead.
Right there, in the middle of all the debris, was a single survivor. It was hurt, and nobody could communicate with it. But then, something absolutely bizarre happened. The military realized that Matilda, she could somehow hear what it was thinking. Just like that, she went from nurse to official intermediary, the interviewer. And she gave this survivor a name, Airl. Okay, so before we dive any deeper, we've got to get this one key concept down that Airl supposedly introduced. It's IS-B. That's IS-BE. It stands for Immortal Spiritual Being. And according to Airl, that's what we are. All of us. We aren't these bodies, we're ancient, timeless spirits just living inside them for a while. All right, so once you grasp that concept of the IS-B, the story Airl tells just explodes. The scale becomes massive. We're not talking about one little crashed ship anymore. We're talking about a cosmic history that goes back eons, all wrapped around an ancient galactic war. And when I say ancient, I really mean it. Get this. According to Airl, her civilization, the Domain, had been traveling through space for 80 trillion years. That's trillion with a T. No, that is not a typo. It's a number so big it makes all of human history look like a blink of an eye. It just completely shatters our sense of place in the cosmos. So, the main conflict in this whole cosmic saga is between two giant galactic empires. On one side, you've got the Domain, that's Airl's people. And on the other side, there's this much older, way more sinister group she calls the Old Empire. Think of them as this huge, controlling, totalitarian force, and they're responsible for a cosmic crime of unimaginable proportions.
In all of this galactic history, it all brings us to that one big question, right? The one we've all wondered about.
If the universe is so full of life, where is everyone? Why does Earth feel so alone and so chaotic? Well, Airl's supposed answer to that, it's probably the single most shocking claim in this entire story.
Because according to these transcripts, our cosmic quarantine, it's not an accident. It's not a coincidence. It is by design.
And here it is. This is the core assertion. Airl claims that Earth isn't the cradle of civilization. It's a prison planet, a penal colony. In us, we're the inmates. All the endless war, the chaos, the suffering, she says those aren't bugs in the system. They are features of the prison.
So you're probably thinking, how could a prison like that even work? Well, Airl lays out this really chilling 4-step process. First up, capture. IS-BEs, maybe dissidents or rebels against the old empire. They get rounded up. Step 2, amnesia. They get hit with this powerful electronic force screen that just wipes their memory clean. Who they are, where they're from, everything, gone. Third, incarceration. They get shipped off to Earth and dumped into a biological body to live out a life. But the trap is even cleverer than that. The final step, reincarnation. When that body dies, the IS-BE's spirit is caught by this massive force field around the planet. Their memory gets wiped again, and they're sent right back down to do it all over. It's a never-ending cycle of forced amnesia.
The whole system, the whole point of this prison, is designed for one thing and one thing only: to make us forget. To make you forget who you really are, what you're capable of, your real nature as an immortal being. This isn't a prison made of steel bars and concrete walls. It's a prison of amnesia.
But look, it's not all doom and gloom. Airl's story isn't just this dark, grim diagnosis of our situation. She says there's also a message of hope in there, a reminder of who we actually are and who we could be again.
And this is maybe the most powerful part of her message. She claims that before all this, before the prison, we weren't just living in the universe. We helped create it. That you, me, every single IS-BE on this planet was once a powerful creator, an artist, an inventor, someone who literally helped build the fabric of reality.
So how do they keep this prison running? It's not just with fancy energy screens, it's with ideas. The system, according to Airl, pushes beliefs and philosophies that get us to hand over our power to some god or some external force. The moment we start believing we're small and powerless, well, that's the moment we become our own jailers. We participate in our own imprisonment. And she even points to something we see right here on Earth as a kind of proof: child prodigies. You know, when you see a 3-year-old playing a Mozart concerto perfectly. Airl says that's not some random miracle. It's an IS-BE whose memory wipe wasn't 100% successful. They're just tapping into skills they perfected over thousands of different lives, on who knows how many other planets. And so, when you get to the end of these transcripts, you're left with this one massive, unsettling question. If any of this is even remotely true, if we really are all these powerful, immortal beings stuck in a loop of forgetting, then what in the world would it take for us to finally remember?